traveler.
I have no time for games.
The end is coming! Who am I?
Let me change your mind.
You require my assistance? Adingo! We're gonna be rich!
Exciting edition of THL's Tavern Talk, where we talk about the preceding week of Legacy and also talk about the upcoming matches and see what we have in store. It's kind of insane to me that we are already getting to the second to last week of the regular season with a lot of things winding down. But before we get into more of that, let's meet our guest for tonight. Of course, we have our OP and my new regular co-host, Doctorfeesh. How's it going?
Going pretty well, man. Ready to go for the week. How are you doing?
Good, good, very good. Next, of course, we have the man who started Ask HS himself, the face behind it. Say hello to Khell. How's it going, Khell?
Good. How are you?
We're happy to have you back, and definitely hoping you've enjoyed the your break since we last saw you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was on Saloon last week, so that was fun. And
Well, your break from us, I mean, you know.
yeah. No, I'm excited to talk about some Hearthstone.
Fantastic. And lastly, now, of course, tonight we are missing our lovely, amazing friend Saku. But don't be sad because we got another Canadian Hearthstone player to take his place tonight. Tonight, as our special guest, please say hello to the very talented, undefeated in Legacy, NejiBoston. Neji, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to the show.
Well, I mean, at this point, it was only a matter of time before we had you on here. You've made that much of an impression on us, so this was inevitable as I see it.
Well, glad to hear it. Glad to be here too.
So we've got a lot to talk about tonight. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about from last week, and of course, there's a lot of exciting matches coming up this week. But before we get into any of that, we've got some big news that came out a few hours ago. The newest patch that'll be coming out, as it has been revealed to us, next Thursday. We're going to have to wait and see how this affects the submission deadline and how this is going to affect the meta as a whole. But this is a pretty big shakeup. We've seen a bunch of small nerfs over the course of this season. You know, from nerfing Kael'thas to nerfing Guardian Animals, a whole bunch of interesting stuff. Now we see that Mage has taken a hit for the first time. Essentially, Evocation has had its cost bumped up from 1 to 2, and now Astromancer Solarian will still cost the same, but its Prime version will now cost 9. So these are some pretty big changes. I want to hear from everybody to see what they think about this and how they think this is going to shape the meta.
Well, I personally love these changes. One thing about Evocation that was super frustrating was getting it off of wand makers and getting multiple copies of that. So now that it costs 2 mana, obviously you can't get it off wand maker.
Same with the
And
five
No, no,
mana
no.
dragon.
You can still get it off. Wand Maker. Sorry,
yeah, wand maker,
I'm
not
thinking
wand.
Wand Thief for some reason.
Yeah, you can still discover off like Magic Trick and Wand Thief and stuff, but the Wand Maker you can't get it, so probably a few less copies of that. And also the Sorcerer Apprentice early turns with it will be probably 1 turn delayed now because it costs 2 instead of 1. So
Right.
that'll be
You
nice as well.
you also can't pick up additional copies from the 5 mana 3/5 dragon.
Yes, yeah, that
Yes,
one's
that's true. So now Cobalt Spellkin and Wand Maker suddenly lose a lot of power being played in Mage. They're still, I think, viable. Like I feel like what they did to Evocation is what I hope they do to Wave of Apathy. Make that cost 2 instead. It'll still be an extremely powerful card, but then you won't be able to add so many more copies quite as easily.
Yeah, I think that's the frustrating things about some of these cards is just how many you actually play in a game because obviously this is a legendary spell, you put 1 in your deck, but as we know, people play 2, 3, even 4 sometimes in games. So hopefully this reduces the amount that you can actually generate.
Right, exactly. And the cards themselves aren't necessarily like, hard removal or something like that, but you kind of see just how much impact the cards can have. Like Evocation being this card where it's like, hey, you can get 2 free spells off it essentially that really make an impact on the board or really just make an impact on the amount of cards you have. Like if you say get an Arcane Intellect and you get some nice draw power, that can also be pretty helpful. But and then you have Wave of Apathy, which is also like, you're not removing anything, changing all their health to 1, but that could still be extremely impactful. Like I guess we'll ultimately have to see. Like Evocation is definitely still going to see play, but I'm very curious to see how differently certain games play out, like because of the new costs. I definitely think that as impactful as it is, though, the Solarian nerf might be arguably more impactful since it's since that's being able to having to wait until turn 9 to play it could often be a very huge difference. What do you guys think?
In terms of impactfulness, I think that the evocation nerf is way more impactful and has far more implications. As far as playability, I think that Solarian Prime is way less playable at this point. In standard, it's fine. In wild, it's dead.
Well, that's what I mean. I think the evocation nerf has more of an effect, but I think if we're talking about simply the playability of it, I definitely think the Solarian nerf is more relevant in a sense.
Sure.
But we
Yeah.
shall see. I mean, obviously, it's too soon to tell because Mage itself is still going to be pretty powerful, I imagine. I mean, you still have plenty of strong 1-cost spells you could get if you decide to play Wand Maker or Spellkin. So I mean, yeah, I feel like even though these changes are very great, they're very welcomed, they're very relevant, we will need time to kind of see how much it shapes Mage as a class. Maybe more people will decide they want to try out Highlander Mage as a result. I don't know.
I like
A lot could happen
I like
at
the
this point.
sound of that. More Highlander mage.
I would
Yeah,
love to do that, honestly. I remember for when Outlands came out and I crafted Malagos and what was it, Reno,
You know they're like called just
to make that deck, and I was
yeah.
like so glad I did because it ended up being pretty like a pretty popular pick for me. But now it's like okay, you know, Highlander Mage has little to no relevance, and I would love that for that to change. And it's kind of at the same exact. It's been shaped in the same way Highlander Hunter has, where it's still a viable deck, but it's kind of a little you can't really play it the same way you used to, and you're whether or not you want to play that is going to depend highly on how you feel about that change as a whole.
hmm
So,
yeah, it's a good nerf.
anything else anybody wants to share before we move on?
I was just gonna say, I think the most important thing about the Prime nerf is it's a lot more of a risk now because if you play it on turn 10, say, and you still had 3 mana left over, you could still cast other things in case it went wrong. But now that it costs 9, you're really kind of just playing Prime and hoping that it does actually freeze or remove stuff because you can't do much alongside it.
Exactly. It takes your entire turn, so you can't go like prime into like Sorcerer's Apprentice evocation or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Or prime into a bunch of Frostlands. What's it called?
Ray of Frost.
Ray of Frost. I don't know why I forget that name. But like, yeah, you don't really have as many options as far as follow-up goes. That's
Right.
definitely very important in my eyes.
Yes, Solarian Prime is your turn.
Yeah.
It's like a box.
And it can be very impactful, or it could be kind of a dud. We've seen how that works.
And in Wild, Solarian Prime has a lot more spells, so it's less likely you hit something like Puzzle Box as well. So
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder.
All right.
I wonder if something's gonna happen where they might up the amount of spells it generates, because it generating 5 spells at 9 mana might if it sees too little play, they might up it to maybe like 7 or something like that. Just kind of go that balance in between 5 and 10.
See, I have a problem with that though, purely from the standpoint of that they have to target enemies when possible. I don't think
You can
I feel
take
like that
you
becomes a
can
lot
you
less
can
fair.
take that away.
I think
I
you
mean,
would
that's the
rather
thing, though.
have
I
the
kinda
target
prefer-
enemies
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
more
What was that?
spells. I think you'd rather have the target
Yeah,
enemies
exactly.
than more spells.
Okay.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, especially
yes.
in standard, I guess it's much better to have that.
I would have liked them to just make it random instead of target
Yeah.
enemies and just make the card more like box, where it's not like always auto include super competitive random card. I'd rather it just be like box. But I mean, I'm still happy they nerfed it.
You mean pre-nerf Yogg?
No. Well, 7
no,
mana,
it's
cast
still
5,
fine.
target random. Like, I don't know. I would have
kinda
liked that.
I like that there's
'Cause
so many cards where you really want to be able to hit the enemy with it, and
Yeah.
that's just really good.
Mhm.
I think it's pretty fair. I
Yeah.
think you kind of overcomplicate it, and like I think in theory you'd like to think, oh, it becomes more fair if you put more spells because of the cost.
Yeah.
But I think it's just this is a nice happy medium. 5 spells.
Mhm.
If they can hit the enemy, they can.
Yeah.
There's plenty of great spells you can hit, but you're also accepting the fact that it's not always going to hit a spell that's all that valuable.
I agree with that.
All right, I think that's a good discussion though regarding these changes.
Oh, yeah,
Let's
definitely.
move on. Let's move on to recapping week. Hold on, it's week
7.
8 weeks, right? It's 9 weeks, so we're up to week
We're
week
at 8.
7. So we're going to start with the Gold Conference. Our first match is going to be Hearthstone Academy versus the Subs. Khell, how would you like to start us off?
Sure. So we had HSA taking it 14-12, very close match. We have Based continuing the undefeated season at 6-0, defeating Snake 3-2. We had Ghost being swept by the Big Ted. Osmonaut taking down 2-star Mako 3-2. Boozosaurus taking down Kira Finway 3-1. And Duin also continuing his undefeated season, taking down Quaz 3-1. I have to say, I think the biggest upset here is probably Osmonaut beating Mako.
Yeah.
Mm.
I would agree with that. And I say that as a huge fan of Oz, and I feel like this was a pretty close one. I would actually only say that was kind of a slight upset, but an upset all the same. You know what? I'll say this. I think it was more of an upset because of Oz's performance overall this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that HSA has 2 undefeated players, though, that's nuts.
Yeah.
It's insane because as we were saying, Feesh and I were I was talking about this with Feesh before. I feel like, HSA is obviously a very strong team. Everybody on this team is doing, decently at worst. But when you do have to consider that when you have 2 players every week who are winning, that's going to make you winning the match that much easier because it basically means, okay, one of the remaining 3 players has to win. Just one. It's like, it's not, this isn't me trying to take away from their success, their undefeated record, but it does make sense to kind of explain how, that success has definitely made it much easier for them to maintain such an undefeated record, Like they're a really strong team, but they're also just, when you've got 2 people doing that well, it's not too surprising that they're undefeated at this point. But the Stubs got close,
Yeah, they
props
did.
to them. Like this, HSA has definitely had some close calls this season. This one might have been one of the closest ones.
Yeah, I would say probably their closest match.
Anybody want to add anything?
No, I think that's it.
All right, moving on to the match 2. This one is drop table teams versus pod people. Neji, this one's all
Yeah.
yours.
All right, so we had pod people taking down drop table teams, 18-9. So pretty sizable win there for them. We had our hat taking down Noglako 3-1 in the first seed. We had Agent taking down Zeroshio 3-2. Wicked taking down Pasca 3-1. Starlax over Mojapel 3-1. And Saku over Snake 3-2. So
Saku the GOAT?
definitely.
I think I called this last week, actually.
Probably, yeah, you were the only one.
I think I was the only one who said Saku was going to win, and I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, pretty good win for pod people, getting 18 points. Definitely helping them out there. Overall, I mean, the matches were, I'd say, closer than not. I mean, there were no sweeps, so not too bad there.
Yeah, the one thing I just want to make sure is stated, like, I think in regards to both teams, looking at them facing each other, this is kind of fascinating because pod people are really starting to hit their stride. They're in a very good position going into playoffs. They're right now in 3rd place. This was a big win for them, absolutely. But yet they're still behind drop table teams, which, I mean, to be fair, they're going to pass them most likely, given that drop table team still hasn't had their bye yet. Pod people have. But like the fact that drop table teams have been doing as well as they have, despite their record, is kind of astounding to me. They're 3-4, and yet they're currently in 2nd place.
They win big. When they usually get a decent amount of points. I think this is like
I think their only loss where they didn't get a decent amount of points.
Yeah,
still.
Yeah,
like
it just
still
shows their
This
strength.
is still very strange for me to watch.
Yeah, it just shows their strength to be a negative record overall. I mean, Gold Conference is very tough, and like sitting at 108 now, they have the week 9 bye. So we're gonna know where they stand at the end of next week.
Yes,
so they really need.
Absolutely.
So to secure a nice seed going into playoffs, they need to put up some good. Because I would be very, very surprised if they got kicked out.
Yeah, that's really that's the thing. I'd be surprised, but it's not that unheard of. It really will have a much better picture after this week as far as because there are a bunch of teams that are a fair amount of points away, but that gap is potentially closable. I mean, we're gonna have to we'll look at the standings after and we'll get into that more.
Sure.
Pod people, on the other hand, I'm gonna be very shocked if they don't make playoffs, honestly.
Yeah,
because they've already had their bye. They're in 3rd place. They're really got a lot of momentum on their side, and I feel pretty confident saying they just need to win at least one of their last 2 matches to outright secure that spot. We'll see if I end up being wrong, but I hope that's not the case. I would love to see these guys make it after being so close last season, despite having a very rough start. So, 3rd match, Hot Zilfs versus Saranite Pangang. Anybody else think the Zilfs need the infirmary after this match? Like, God.
Yeah, this is definitely a blow to the ego for Zilfs.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because not funny, but it's interesting to how they had all this momentum on their side, and then they had really crushing losses the last 2 weeks. Not just losses, crushing losses. Last week, I think they got swept twice as well. This time they got swept 3 times. I'm like I'm at a loss right now because I mean, Saturday Night Pancakes is a good team.
They're in danger.
But this is not what anybody would have expected from them.
Just looking at points, they're in trouble now.
Yes.
The Zilfs are in trouble. They're like with Dad Legend being another Dad Legend had the bye, so they didn't play this week, but they have 87 points. And so with both of them having played the same amount of weeks, they're 6 points behind. I think Dad Legend would be I mean, we'll see standings when we get there, but They're getting
It's
close, and
not.
SPG is now creeping closer and closer.
Yeah, the problem is the likelihood is that they're going to need to win both of their last two matches to have a good shot at playoffs.
Yeah, a lot of these teams have to win.
So
Yeah,
that's
this
but it's hard to gauge because right now
Yeah.
a lot of different things can happen. If some upsets take place, maybe not.
hmm
We're gonna have to like really talk about that more as we get into the later matches. Kel, what were you gonna say?
this week very well could have been the Dream Crush week and made it so Zilfs doesn't make playoffs.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yes. Because they only got 8 points. Now, looking at their overall standings, they're in a very tough spot. But I would still make the argument that 2 good wins for them could easily still put them in a good position. Because you also have to consider that I think the team that's in 4th place right now is to Stubbs, and they also haven't
yes.
had their bye yet.
Stubbs is this week's bye.
True.
Yes. So they have the bye this week, and then Drop Table has it next week. So I'm very curious to see how that is going to unfold. I personally think I would rather be in the Stubbs position
Same.
than Drop Table because at least you kind of know, like last week, okay, we kind of know what kind of impact we need to have. Whereas Drop Table has to basically just get as many points as they can and hope that holds to be enough for them.
Definitely.
And moving on to the last match of gold, we've got Diamonds Alley Cats versus Good Luck Albatrosses. Feesh, do us the honors.
Okay. So, very close match between the Alley Cats and the Albatrosses. Wins for Alley Cats came from Zancat, Bill Snyder, and Diamond. Diamond finally getting his first win of the season. Congratulations.
Woohoo!
I
hate that it had to be against Mike, though. That's the only
Yeah.
reason I didn't want him to win this.
Yeah. And then Lotus Knight actually beating Heat Shock. Heat Shock having a rough legacy season, but doing well, I guess, overall everywhere else, I would say.
No, well, he's doing okay.
He's doing
overall.
okay.
He Hero, I think he made playoffs. But as far as Pro goes, well,
Pro is tough.
let's just
So
yeah, his team kind of took a nosedive. Let's put it that way.
unfortunate.
Yeah, they're still a really good team. Nobody's gonna
Yeah.
take that away from them. But it's you hate to see it.
Yeah. And looking at both of these teams, even though it's funny, GLA 1-5 still has points.
Yeah.
So they're getting points in the losses, and their wins are obviously getting wins. At least they got 2 this week. So that's good. Chu, doing amazing in Legacy, or amazing in Heroes, kind of just about even here in Legacy. But yeah, overall, a great win for the Alley Cats. GLA can definitely be happy with 12 points, and obviously they won't be happy with, but they can take this and go forward.
Both of these teams are in a position where they technically could still make playoffs.
Yeah, Gold Conference is actually still pretty open for like the last few seeds.
We shall see what happens.
Yeah, we shall.
But yeah, now we're going to be moving on to the Red Conference. Starting off, ATL versus Dirty Mike and the boys. Khell, your honors.
All right. This was also a very close match. So we have ATL beating DMB 12-11.
Yes.
Ron Mexico beats Fuel 3-1. Pawn sweeps Tony Montana. Astral Frog sweeps Blue Spartan. Matty Ebbs beats Sirlos 3-2. And Lefty sweeps Shun Sui. A lot of sweeps here.
Yes.
But yeah, no, very, very close game. Almost a tie, even. So, I don't know if this is good or bad for these teams. I mean, based on standings, it's probably worse for Dirty Mike and the boys than it is for ATL, but
both of these teams are honestly in solid positions. Dirty Mike and the boys is still like doing better as far as the like teams that have already played their bye go. They're 7 points ahead of us. Right now they're tied with Chop. And both of those teams are in really good shape. ATL is also in really good shape because that's still a 17-point gap they have ahead of Dirty Mike and the boys. Realistically speaking, I think they're probably going to make playoffs either way as long as they get a decent amount of points this week. But I think even if they lost, they'd still be in really good shape, frankly, because they've accumulated so many points like on average.
Yeah, I think this hurt DMB more than ATL.
Yes. Well, even then, though, it's like again, there's easily a scenario where Dirty Mike makes it, so we're gonna have to wait and see. Fun fact, though, Ron Mexico was the one who took this one home for ATL. He knew he had to win by a 3-0 or 3-1 margin, otherwise it was going to be a tie. So
Yeah, he's been stepping it
props
up.
to him.
He's been stepping
Starting
it up.
off 0-3 and then winning the last 4 weeks in a row. I can only hope that this week his luck runs out.
Yeah, and he's back up to 550 for PR. So
Yes, he
congrats
is.
to Ron.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But this one was pretty impactful overall. You know, like it definitely puts ATL in a better position. But realistically, both of these teams are still doing very well for themselves. Next up, Defias Brotherhood versus Illidan's Death Knights. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. This one was a rough one for us. I really felt the pressure. I was the last match to be played for this one. And we had already lost, but I was like, all right, maybe I'll win this. Maybe I'll keep my undefeated streak going. We'll see. And Comp actually won the first 2 games against me, and I pulled off the reverse sweep.
Awesome.
It was pretty intense. Our match was easily the craziest match I've played all season. Not just because of how close it was, but because of just every game was such a fight. Like seriously. He really pushed me to my limits there. So congrats to this team. These guys have been a sleeper team this whole time. They're one of only 2 teams in all of THL right now that have one loss or less. I feel very confident that they're going to ultimately make playoffs at this point. I feel confident saying they need only one more win in order to secure that spot. And they could probably still lose both of their last 2 matches, put up a decent amount of points, and they'd be fine.
These guys are at it. They have they're behind. They're only 6 points behind.
Yeah.
ATL has 1 week to play. These guys have 2 weeks to play. So unless and the other team who's also right in there, just probably right below them, our team Amberflight also has the bye. So we only have 1 week to play. So I think Defias is very likely going to get the top red seed. They've been playing outstanding this.
Yeah, it seems inevitable that they're going to pass ATL simply for the fact that they're only 6 points behind them. And I also don't necessarily see a team like really passing them, like given the gaps they have over everybody. So we'll see.
They still have a couple to play. They have a tough one. Get into that.
We will get into that. Khell, Neji, anything you guys want to add?
No, I pretty much agree with everything you guys have already said.
Yeah.
I felt bad for Murloc, especially because I thought he was definitely ready to come in, or at least he thought he was, and sadly got swept. Plants got the win against Clone to sort of even things up, and then it was down to Marty and Jerry. I was like, just one of you guys win, and then I'll take it home for the last match. But sadly, both of them struggled. I will say though, props to Timothy Chambers. Jerry had to reschedule his match due to factors. And he was willing to oblige, and they ended up playing. I think it was either Saturday or Sunday morning. So glad that he was very understanding about that. Props to him. All right, let's move on. Neji, this one's for you. Amberflight Gaming versus Chop.
Apparently, I hate my coach.
That's debatable.
All right, so this is my team. We lost 11-15 to Chop. First match of the week, I believe, was me versus Liquidox. I managed to pick up the 3-2 win. Very, very close series. I would
expect no less from a match like that.
Yeah, I brought a super counter strategy to one of his decks, and it ended up working out, and he couldn't get the win with it. So that was good there. Then we had Mark Shire taking the win over Dragon Rider 3-2, close match. Durden 3-0 over Christine. Scritch 3-1 over Bitbeaker. And Brushy Tuna slotting in for Doctorfeesh, picking up a 3-1 over Sharkbait.
So I think the week started with Brushy.
It did.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was like an hour after.
Yeah, and then Bitbeaker and Scritch played pretty much again right after that, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so you kind of started the best of 3. That was to come.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but all good. No, you're fine. I'm just nitpicking.
No, that's fine.
So yeah, this was. I mean, 11 points for our team is still good. Like, just grabbing as many points as we could. I mean, Durden was going to be a rough match for Christine regardless.
Oh yeah.
Durden's one of the only 5-1 players in red, and I think he's one of the only like players that have that type of. We have a couple undefeateds, a couple one, but Durden's playing super good. Helped propel Chop.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Chop is, definitely. I feel like we haven't talked about them a ton this season, but they're really showing what a strong team they are and how likely they are to make playoffs at this point. What I find kind of astounding, though, is the fact that they are 4-2 and they have the exact same amount of points as Dirty Mike and the boys who are 2-4. That's kind of crazy. Like records just seem to mean nothing right now.
Every point matters.
It's true, but
Yep.
like generally you tend to see a trend with like your record kind of reflecting your position. But
I
like
agree,
this
yeah.
season, and I've noticed this in Pro too, that's not really the case. So, and our last match of to cover week 7, Chaos Theory versus Blood Bloomers. Doctorfeesh.
All right. Chaos Theory versus the Blood Bloomers. Chaos Theory takes it 15-10. Adamos takes
Adamos.
Yeah, Adamos. He takes the 3-1 over Isocles. Sanguine picks up her second win of the season in a 5-game series against Notorious GHP. Risen continues his hot streak with a win over Ator, a sweep. Jester sweeping Medusas, also known as Starkey, formerly known as Starkey. And then we have Silver taking a 3-2, what I would call upset victory over G-Kick. That's super clutch for Silver. And so, yeah, I mean, we see Chaos Theory again. 2-4 has 80. They're within striking, full conference striking distance. Playoffs.
I would say so. We're seeing a variety in terms of the records. Like you've got teams like, Dirty Mike and the boys and Chop. I said are tied with very different records, and now Chaos Theory and IDK are tied with different records. So it's nothing. We don't really know what's going to happen right now. It's all about points more than anything. I will say also, I'm very happy for Chaos Theory, but I feel bad that the one of the matches was a DQ win.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, Jester's
Always
match.
unfortunate.
Yeah, Jester's match. I didn't know that. Thanks for that.
I know also that Medusas is being subbed out this week, but we'll talk more about that when we get to their match for next week. So, but I think that basically covers it. Yeah, Chaos Theory, big win, pretty important, I would say. So glad to see that they, they finally got a second win. As they've been looking for it for weeks. And now we are done covering the week 7, so we'll get to the commercial break. Thank you so much for tuning into Tavern Talk. If you are enjoying our show, please make sure you check out Wild and Out on Mondays, The Saloon on Tuesdays, and Hearth Center on Wednesdays, right here at twitch.tv/Team Hearth Legends. What's that? That's not enough content for you. Well, we stream THL matches on Friday from 8 to 10, Saturdays from 8 to 10, and on Sundays as well, depending on caster and player availability. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. But wait, that's not all. We also have incredible matches weekend afternoons on Schoolstone. Those vary from time to time, but always catching them on weekend afternoons. Please consider subscribing to our channel. The subscription enables the THL team to cover the various costs of operating our website, as well as improve the quality of our streams and content to our viewers. If you have Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime, you can sub to the channel for free, like I do, every month. Subscribers will get a THL emoticon as well as the lovely THL chat badge. So hit that heart button and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our team broadcasting live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out THL's other social media points of interest, our website, teamhearthlegends.com, our Twitter at THL_HS, our Discord, Team Hearth Legends, and our THL PAL podcast, wherever podcasts are sold, hosted by the lovely Mad at Arms and Isocles. And now we move on to the current standings going into week 8. We kind of talked about this before, how things are very close. So let's start by talking about the Gold Conference and getting a big picture of them for now. Right now, we have...
I'm sorry, I forgot to update it.
I was gonna say, hold
Yeah,
on.
I didn't update it. We're gonna have to pull it up. I mean, I have it pulled up on the screen. I can run.
It's
I can
alright,
I can
okay.
run everything down then.
Whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna use the website to look at the proper.
Sorry, guys.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But right now, so we're looking at gold.
So it looks like pretty much the top 5 teams.
So
are the
Gold
ones in
Conference
contention.
right now has, yes, I would say Zilfs and Alley Cats could theoretically, if like a miracle happens, make it. Because like a 13-point deficit can be overcome,
Mhm.
especially when that's by a team that is having their bye this week. But yeah, it's gonna be hard. I would say the top 5 are really the ones that have the best shot.
I think that I mean I agree with what you're saying. I'm just
I mean, look, let's just go through the quick thing. HSA is making playoffs.
Yeah, HSA is gonna make.
Unless they somehow manage to get like 0 points the next 2 weeks, they are making playoffs. Like, we can get technical about this as much as we want, but based on the average amount of points teams make and given their substantial lead over everybody else, it's going to take more than 2 weeks to overcome that deficit, even if they get less than 10 points both weeks. They are making playoffs. That is for certain. As far as other teams that are locked, I think Drop Table Team is probably going to be locked after this week, but we'll have to see.
I think
We'll have to get an exact gauge of how many points they have above all these teams. Because in my opinion, if they continue to have like a good 8 to 10 points on like 3 to 4 teams, I don't see how teams are, or sorry, not 8 to 10. Actually, wait, no, that's if it's 8 to 10, they're probably not going to keep that spot. Never mind.
No, they're
See,
gonna need something like 12ish, 12 to 13, like really
probably,
secure it.
Right.
I might I think it's gonna be. I think HSA Drop Table and Pod people are gonna make it. I mean,
Right.
they are the top 3. It's easy to look at it and say those are the teams, but that they're gonna make it.
Yeah.
But just off performance, Pod people playing super well right now. Drop Table is a team that has lost and bounced back really strong before, so I kind of expect it this week.
Yeah.
Just based off trend. And HSA, as long as they continue doing what they're doing, they'll be the one.
Right, and the Stubs are kind of in a very difficult spot right now because there's no way they're going to pass Drop Table, and there's no way they're going to pass HSA. There's no way they could theoretically pass Pod people, but the truth is they really need to hope that Pod people and Dad Legend lose their matches, especially.
Yeah.
Zilfs, it's less of an issue because even if they win this week, they're not going to pass to Stubs by much.
Mhm.
But we'll have to wait and see what happens. The point is their position is very shaky right now compared to Drop Table, who have the exact same record but 19 more points. It's a lot. And then we move on to the Red Conference, which is a very different animal entirely because I would say the only team that's really guaranteed a spot is Defias Brotherhood, and that's only because the teams that are right above and right below them are the only 2 teams that have yet to have a bye.
Yeah.
That's really the only reason they're guaranteed right now. As for Amber Flight and Always Top Deck Lethal, I mean, this is a very, you guys are in a very awkward position right now because there are several teams that are right behind you. 4 teams that are will either pass you or get within striking distance of you within the end by the end of this week.
I mean,
so that puts you in a very awkward position.
I mean, Neji and I have talked about this. We both think that our team's gonna have to. That we think our team's gonna have to great win next week to make playoffs.
Yeah, we're gonna need a
Probably.
big win.
Yeah.
You might not. I don't think you guys necessarily need a big win, but I think you're definitely going to need a win to really hit it home.
Yeah. I mean, some of these teams who are in here, they're not really. Some of these teams aren't. So if I mean, based on matchups, I think Chaos and Dirty Mike play each other this week, so that could be something where
They
like,
do.
we're gonna need help from one of the teams that are like outside of 90 points, playing a 90 plus point team and winning up.
So we'll talk more about the matchups
right
for
after this.
this coming week as far as how that has an effect. But the last week there's also going to be some pretty relevant matchups.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Defias Brotherhood, for instance, they're going to be playing Chop the very last week. If I'm correct on that. Yes. So that's going to be a pretty big match. And then Dirty Mike and the boys, I believe, are playing. Well, they're playing Blood Bloomers, and then you guys are playing.
We're playing
Annoyance.
Annoyed.
And then we're playing Chaos Theory. So there's those, especially the Chop versus Defias, and then Chaos Theory versus IDK are going to be some very important matches, I would say.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that could happen. So we're gonna leave the speculation for next week when we have a much better idea of where things stand and we can actually start making playoff predictions. So for now, let's move on to our predictions for week 8. Starting with the gold conference. We have Hearthstone Academy versus Diamond's Alley Cats. Neji, would you like to lead us off?
Yeah. So first match, HSA versus the Alley Cats. We got Base versus Heat Shock, Ghost versus Zancat, Mako versus Bill, which has already happened. Bill took the series 3-0. So big win for him there and his team. And we got Boozosaurus versus Diamond and Duin versus 8-Bit. So, I mean, looking at the matchup, HSA obviously best team probably in gold right now because they're a few points behind first, but they've already had their bye week. So, I mean, you would think HSA probably gets a win this week, but Alley Cat's starting off with a 3-0. I don't know about that. But yeah, this week I have Based winning in the 1, Ghost in the 2. We got Bill obviously in the 3. I have Boozosaurus in the 4 and Duin in the 5. So I do actually have a 4-1 for HSA.
Khell, how about you?
So I think if anybody can beat Base, it's going to be Heat Shock.
It's true.
However, I don't think I can bet against Base or Duin at this point. So
Yeah.
so they're taking the 1 and the 5 for sure. I'm going to say Zancat beats Ghost and Boozosaurus beats Diamond. So that would give it 3-2 to HSA.
Seems reasonable. Feesh, what about you?
Okay, I'm picking Base win. I never pick Based, and I wasn't gonna pick against her on the quest to 550. I think she'll get there this week. We've got I picked Zancat in the 2, picked Booze in the 3, Booze in the 4, Doing in the 5. 3-2 for HSA.
I, unfortunately for Diamond, have the exact same predictions as Feesh here. And to defend ourselves, honestly, Diamond, I would love to see you pull an upset here.
Yeah.
But you're playing against Booze, who has no business playing in the 4. So.
Yeah, it might not be playing in the 4 after this.
I mean, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he beats Diamond, T and Mako are definitely going to switch. Without a doubt.
And if Ghost also loses, Booze might end up in.
But Diamond said, "But I actually play the game." I mean, that's he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
We all love you, Diamond.
I mean, if HSA wasn't on such
And
a
if
tear,
and
I'd
if any
probably bet.
and if anything uses us,
Yeah, if you win, we're gonna be praising you
yeah,
like crazy next week. This was gonna be a fun one. If I would love to, I wouldn't mind seeing an upset, but I do want to see Based and DeWin continue that undefeated streak because I don't think we've had a season where we've had this many undefeated players last this long. You know,
yeah.
it's kind of crazy, and all in different seeds, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's part of what's made it possible.
Pretty cool.
I mean, Diamond, you are technically on a win streak. You're not
You are
wrong.
you are not wrong.
You know. Moving on to match 2, drop table teams versus Saranite Pangang, the Great Fish.
All
Go
right.
for it.
All right. Drop table teams versus Serenite Pain Gang. We have Asian PWE Rescue Wabbit. We have No Glocko, who took a 3-2 over Black Swan, formerly Dark Ranger. In the 2, we have
Shadow Ranger.
Oh, Shadow Ranger. Sorry, Shadow Ranger. In the 2, we have Tosca versus Darkside. In the 3, Mojo Power versus Lemur. In the 4, Snake Fods versus Black Magic. In the 5, I am picking a 3-2 for drop table teams. I have been very happy to see Rescue Wabbit picking up steam. 2 wins in a row, and I'm gonna say it continues. I know Agent's a very, very good player, and I know he'll probably see this and be able to win. But I'm gonna pick Rescue Wabbit, continuing the streak. And I'm picking Oscar in the 3, Lemur in the 4, and Odds in the 5. Khell, what do you got?
So I think I have PWE in the 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take Glocko in the 2. I'm gonna give the 3 to Pasca. I'm gonna give the 4 to Mojo. I'm gonna give the 5 to Snake Fods. I'm gonna say it's 5-0 drop table.
I'll be honest, I was very tempted to go 5-0 myself, but I'm going to say Lemur takes it in the 4. I think that's going to be a close one anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I could realistically see drop table 5-0ing this team, but maybe after the momentum SPG has, maybe not. I mean, it's too soon to say. We shall see. Neji, I think you're the only one left.
Yeah, I got a 5-0 for drop table as well. I think they're gonna get.
God
the sweep.
damn!
5-0's coming in here. It's not even sweep week, and we've got sweeps being called.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But this is definitely a match where I feel like a 5-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to count out Saranite Pangang, but it's like one of those. Yeah, you could.
It could happen.
Like looking at each match on paper, it's understandable.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on then. The third match of gold: Pod People versus Good Luck Albatrosses, and this is mine. So this one, I mean, I would love to see Good Luck Albatrosses kind of make a comeback here, but Pod People, man, or Pog People, as Doctorfeesh has named them, and frankly, they should change their name to that. These guys
I'm pretty sure
are
Base.
crazy.
I'm pretty sure Base started that.
That's probably fair after we named her brother Astral Pog.
Yep.
You know, that seems fair. But I'm very curious as to how this is going to go because if you'll notice, four out of the 5 players on Pod People, of course, Saku being the only one out, brought Mage, Paladin, Priest, Warrior, which
Dang.
I think is a solid lineup, but not something I see many people bring. So I'm very surprised that they all kind of uniformly decided, yeah, we're bringing these 4 classes. I mean, I expected it from Wicked Good because he loves Priest. Everybody knows that he loves Priest. But the rest of them, not quite as much. I'm going to say Ridiculous Hat takes it in the 1. Zeroshio takes it in the 2. Wicked Good takes it in the 3. And Mike V and Shu take it in the 4-5 for Good Luck Albatrosses. So Pog People, 3-2. What say the rest of you?
I got R Hat in the 1, Skittles in the 2, Wicked Good in the 3, Starlax in the 4, and Shoe in the 5. So 3-2 for Pod People here.
I have those same choices. Yeah,
Okay.
Hat, Skittles, Wicked Good, Starlack Shoe. Yeah.
All right, so everybody so far has picked Arhat, Wicked Good, and Shu to win their matches. It's really the 2 and the 4 where we differ. Dr. Feesh,
All right, so I'm the
what
last
say
one.
you?
So I never bet against I never bet against Mr. Hat. Just an incredible player. I love Lotus Knight as well, but I don't pick against Hat. Zoroshio
Right.
versus Skittles. This one was really close for me to decide who I think is gonna win. I ended up going with Zoroshio. Wicked Good versus Wild 9. I think 2 and 3 are gonna be closer than we expect, but I did pick Wicked Good to win. I picked Starlax over Mike V, and just as Saku did last week and taking a nice win, I'm picking Saku, baby. 5-0 pod people. We're gonna have.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
honestly.
we're going.
I'm okay with a 5-0.
It could be a 5-0. It could be a 3-2. It's gonna be a close one. I just happen to pick 5-0.
I wouldn't be surprised if pod people do go 5-0. I would be surprised if
I think GLA is gonna get.
matches are
I think GLA is
3-2
gonna.
are 5 games.
I think GLA is gonna. Could get a lot of points out of this.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna fight for it.
Definitely.
And it's also worth mentioning, Ridiculous Hat is having a fantastic season. His only loss so far is, of course, to the legendary Based.
Yeah.
And that match was on stream also, if y'all want to check it out.
Oh, that was a
I
blast.
recommend. It was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great match.
It was a blast to cast. It was amazing.
And last match of gold, we have ourselves Dad Legend versus Hot Zilfs. Khell, up to you.
All right. So in the 1, we have Honest Zabe versus Coles. In the 2, we have Myanodon versus Rebobson. In the 3, we have Yellow Dart versus Donde. In the 4, we have Your Mumkid versus Anfal. And in the 5, we have Clarity versus Jimfalos. For myself, I'm going to give the 1 to Honest Zabe. I'm going to give the 2 to Rebobson. The 3 to Donde. The 4 to Your Mumkid, and the 5 to Jim. So I believe that would give it 3-2 Hot Zilfs.
Yep. Feesh, you next.
Okay. So I did do just one change on my predictions. I'm picking Zabe in the 1. I'm gonna take Myanodon in the 2. Myanodon's having a nice season here. And I know Rebobson's a super good player, but he's faltered the last couple of weeks. I mean, I would love to see him come back and get a nice win and get back into that 500 PR. I'm going to have faith in Donde in the 3. Your Mumkid in the 4. Clarity in the 5, which means I'm picking a 4-1 for Dad Legend.
It's a good one. Neji?
So I got Coles in the 1, Rebobson in the 2, Donde in the 3, Your Mumkid in the 4, and Jimfalos in the 5, which would be a 4-1 for the Zilfs.
Seems reasonable. I mean, I feel like the Zilfs got a good shot here. So I'll say Zabe in the 1, Rebob in the 2. I'm going to save the 3 for last for a reason. Your Mumkid in the 4, Jimfalos in the 5. So it's Yellow Dart versus Donde in the 3. And people know I have a very, crazy, fun rivalry with Yellow Dart, where his whole spiel is we've played each other 6 times in THL. I've won 2 of those times. I was originally, ahead. I won 2 out of the 3, and then he's beat me the last 3 times, and it's been pretty saddening, I won't lie. But he likes to jokingly pretend that he doesn't acknowledge any of my wins. So we got a fiery banter going there. Last night, though, on Hearth Center, Donde's always been a good buddy of mine. He had me at the top of his power rankings for player power rankings for Legacy for the 2nd week in a row. And he thinks I'm going to keep my momentum going and win this week. So I'm going to return the favor and say, Donde, you are winning against Yellow Dart this week. So 3-2 Zilfs. I mean, despite how much Yellow Dart frustrates me, I love the guy to pieces. It's just there are times where I feel I will good excuse not to bet for him. to go to bet against him in this case. I think that covers everybody, right?
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the Red Conference. Starting off, always top deck lethal, aka ATL, versus Illidan's Death Knights, aka IDK. Neji.
All right, so this week we got Ron versus Plants. We got Freon Kong versus Marty B. We have Matty Ebbs versus JR. Blue Spartan versus Super Murloc. And Shunsui versus Jerry Damage. So for myself, I have Ron in the 1, Marty B in the 2, JR in the 3, Blue in the 4, and Shunsui in the 5, which is a 3-2 for always top deck lethal.
I'm not mad, I'm disappointed in you, Neji.
I mean, I picked you, so.
I mean, that does like mitigate the pain a little bit. Just a little bit.
I see.
I just figured, Marty B and I, like, those are the obvious ones you're gonna pick. I get it, but I figured you would at least pick one more of my guys to win. So I'm a little disappointed.
I expected the Ron pick.
Well, even if I expect him to pick Ron, I figured, oh come on, he'll pick Locker Jerry, right? Right?
I mean,
Apparently not.
You never know.
I'm in the Shadow Realm already, so.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. Khell, what about you?
So I'm going to pick Plants in the 1.
Okay.
I'm going to take Pond in the 2. I'm going to take JR in the 3.
Yes.
Blue Spartan in the 4. And Jerry
Aw.
Damage. And Jerry Damage in the 5, giving it 3-2 to IDK.
Yeah. That's my boy, Khell. Thank you. Fish?
So
I
I don't
already know what you're gonna pick, but
yeah, I don't pick against Ron. So I'm picking Ron Mexico. He's 4-game win streak. I know Plants is a really good player, and he's had some close series. He had a very close series with Neji a couple of weeks ago. So he's excellent. I mean he could definitely beat Ron. I'm picking Marty B in the 2, although that's also going to be a close one. That could easily go to Pond's way. Picking JR in the 3 over Matty Ebbs. I'm gonna take Blue Spartan in the 4, and I'm gonna pick Jerry Damage in the 5. And before we came on air, JR just kind of convinced me. Hey man, I'm feeling really good about Jerry this week. So I had a different version of 3 IDK, but I just switched it around. So there you go, 3-2 Illidan's Death Knight.
I think after last week, Jerry is coming in. Plus, it helped that he's literally playing the exact same matchup situation that I had to play against Comp, so it was easy to help him out and be prepared.
Yeah, it's a direct mirror classes.
I'm going no surprise here. I'm going with the 5-0.
Yeah.
5-0 IDK.
I expect nothing less from the captain. Faith in his team, I love it.
There was a part of me that was like, should I pick myself to lose? But it's like, no. Given the circumstances we're in, and given how much we need a win against this team, 5-0.
Yeah, we're not doing a.
Showing full confidence in my team.
JR, I'm going to give your team some incentive here.
What's that?
Oh, let's go.
If you guys actually 5-0 ATL, I will gift 5 subs to the THL Twitch.
Oh, let's go. All right, it's on.
Oh, it's so on.
I'll keep track.
The funny thing is,
I'll keep track of
Plants
this somewhere.
And Ron are actually playing now.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
They should be based on the time frame.
Well, I picked Plants, so I guess we'll see if he can pull through.
Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I will say I did have some info from my Magic Ron and Hero to give him, so I'm hoping that ended up paying off. We'll see. But yeah, I think that covers it. I will also just say, if I end up losing this week, knowing that worst case scenario I finished with a 6-2 season, I'm not going to be unhappy.
Definitely.
Because this is never going to happen again. I'm going to move up to the 2, and I'm just going to be like, well, it's all downhill from here. I could be wrong, but it's, I definitely give a lot of the credit to Marty, because I've had some strong opponents in the 3, but this could have easily gone very differently if I ended up moving up to the 2.
See, I'm the exact opposite in Hero. I moved down to the 5, and I'm like, man, it's all uphill from here.
Yep, exactly. Now going on to match 2 of the Red Conference, we got Defias Brotherhood versus Anoyo Team. Khell, this is on you.
All right, so we have Easy Bake versus, I guess it's a mage. I didn't
Yeah,
know
it's
how
a
to pronounce
mage.
that correctly. And then in the 2, we have Clone versus Catharsis. In the 3, we have Comp versus Mad at Arms. In the 4, we have Neb Canuck versus Zathund. In the 5, we have Timothy Chambers versus Totino's Pizza. And I feel like there should be a rolls at the end of that.
Yeah, I know, me too.
So
Right.
I'm going to take a mage in the 1. I'm going to give it to Clone in the 2. I'm going to say that Comp takes the 3. I'm going to give the upset to Zathund in the 4. And Timothy Chambers in the 5, giving it 3-2 to Defias.
That sounds about right. I actually think this match is more even than is closer than people realize, because despite the differing records and points, I actually think a Noyo team could very much pull up an upset here.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that Easy Bake wins in the 1, Clone takes it in the 2. This might sound controversial because I love Comp and I think he deserves more support from me, but I have to give it to my boy Matt. Is going for the upset in the 3. I think Zethund is going to take an upset over Neb Canuck in the 4, and I think Tim Chambers is going to take in the 5. So I still think Defias is going to win it for the week, but I think it's going to be a 3-2, a close one.
All right, I
Feesh,
got
Neji, whichever one of you wants to go.
I got Easy Bake in the 1, Clone in the 2, Comp in the 3, Neb Canuck in the 4, and then another team gets their win with Totino's Pizza. So 4-1 Defias.
Okay. I also have 4-1 Defias, just in a different way. I have Easy Bake in the 1. I have Catharsis in the 2. Comp in the 3. Neb Canuck in the 4. And Timothy Chambers taking... Oh, and Timothy Chambers 5. So that's 4-1. Catharsis the only... And I really want to... I would love to see Matt at Arms week, though.
He's good. He slept on a lot, but he's a good player.
Ow.
He's the POW man, as we should call him.
Yeah.
All right, I think we'll move on to the next match then. That would be Chop versus Blood Bloomers. Doctorfeesh.
Right. Chop versus Blood Bloomers. We have really, really interesting match. Liquid Ox versus Adamos. Don't really know how to say it. Mark in the 2, we have Markstar versus Sanguine. Durden versus Ator in the 3. Scritch versus Cherub in the 4. And Sharkbait versus G-Kick in the 5. I have it going 3-2 in the favor of Chop. I am taking Adam in the 1. I just don't like to pick them. So Adamos in the 1, Markshire in the 2, Durden in the 3, Rich over Cherub. Cherub is subbing in this week for Medusas. And then I'm gonna give it to Scritch. I know Cherub's a good player, but Rich is also really good. We got Sharkbait versus G-Kick. I debated picking an upset here, but I'm gonna pick G-Kick 5. I really debated picking Sharkbait here.
I would love to see an upset from Sharkbait here, but G-Kick is OP.
Yeah, G-Kick is
so OP.
In the 5, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, why is this allowed?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think.
G-Kick and Duin. Why are they 5s?
Neji, what about you?
I got Adamos in the 1, Markshire in the 2, Durden in the 3, Scritch in the 4, and G-Kick in the 5. Same as Doctorfeesh, which is a 3-2 win for Chop.
Well, I'm just going to save everybody some trouble and just say I have the exact same picks as both of you.
Yeah.
I think this is the only match where 3 players have the exact same predictions as far as like match by match.
And I
But yeah, I think Adamos. What was that?
nah, you go ahead. You're good.
I was gonna say I think Adamos is gonna take it over Liquidox. Liquidox is an insane player, but I think Adamos is a bit underrated. I think as great of a player as Sanguine is, Markshire is arguably the best 2 seed in all of THL right now, at least as far as legacy goes. Durden is having one hell of a season, so I feel like he's going to take it over A-Tor. Scritch over Cherub. I mean, I don't really know much about Cherub, so I feel like leaning towards Scritch is the way to go here. And
Question.
G-Kick's OP, so I think that's gonna take it. So yeah, 3-2 chop. Yes, Cal.
Cherub isn't actually 50 PR, is he?
I don't actually know
I
because I
don't.
feel like I recognize the name.
I mean, I know Cherub plays hero, so
yeah,
I'm not sure where Cherub is PR wise. And unfortunately,
since it's a temporary sub, then
yeah, it's a temp sub.
Yeah,
there.
I'm pulling it up on the site to see
Sure.
if it's updated.
Cherub plays on Dad Legend and check for PR there.
Yeah, but that still wouldn't necessarily translate depending on how many games they've played.
Yeah, I don't. But Cherub, if Cherub, it should be
he's showing his 50 PR still.
Okay.
Here in Legacy.
Yeah, I figured your hero PR carries over, and then you would just go from there.
I had this issue with Swelly where the PR was mistakenly marked down as 50.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that it's correct.
Okay.
If it wasn't, I feel like they would have probably pointed it out already.
Okay, makes sense.
Cherub is not on Dad Legend.
No, he's not. I thought he was on Dad Legend.
Clarity.
Clarity is. Sorry, yeah.
You got him confused with Clarity.
I did. All right, so I don't know where Cherub plays.
Yeah, I don't know if he's actually 50 PR, but he could be. Or he or she.
I'm pretty.
We'll let them sort that out.
Sure.
Either way.
Yeah.
What are your predictions,
though? I am gonna go with the spiciest of choices.
Let's go with the spiciest.
And I'm gonna say that.
Hold on now. Hold on.
I'm gonna say that Chop 5-0's Blood Bloomers.
Okay. I like it. I like it. I like this. I like these. I like these picks.
I'll be honest though, if that happens, I'm gonna be shocked. I'm not gonna pledge to. I'm not gonna pledge 5 subs like Khell because
Ox actually Ox
that kind of money.
Ox being 2-4 is an anomaly. I feel, and I look at the pro, and I mean it could just be closed versus open decklist format. He might not be quite as like comfortable in a closed decklist format.
It could just be hero itself too.
Yeah, well, in pro he's like 6-1. So.
Yeah, so I want to kind of defend my decision here a little bit because I don't want it to seem lazy. So I legitimately think that Chop wins the 1 through 4 to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just giving Sharkbait the upset this week.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, Adamos versus Ox, I could see Ox. Both good.
I don't bet against Ox. Like I understand he's having a rough season, but when he needs to, he's clutch.
Yeah.
I won't deny that part of my desire to bet for Adamos comes from wanting an upset here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I won't pretend like that's not a factor.
Yeah.
But I also genuinely believe that Adamos could absolutely pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's for sure.
And I do genuinely believe he's somewhat underrated. Ox is really good. Don't get me wrong. But you know, he's not like
that
one seed. Compare him to, you know,
that 1 seed match could 100% go one way or the other.
Yeah. I would say like I feel much more confident about like Markshire and Durden winning, both because of how they're performing and because of like their stature. Like especially Markshire's. Like I said, he's got enough PR to be a 1 seed. It's absurd that he's in the 2. People kind of say the same thing about Marty B, but I would make the argument that with Marty B, it's a bit more understandable because this is only his 2nd season. Markshire's been here way longer than that.
Also, I just pinged Scritch in Discord and I said, "Yo, submit your classes, dog."
Well, at least he's got time.
I just don't want him to forget. I know
we have on the team.
Listen, I know that we have.
Do we actually have? Was it actually today for submission? I didn't know.
I'm old. Well, no, he's playing against a sub.
Oh, that makes sense.
So he's got an extra day, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm old, and I'm from before a time when rollovers were a thing.
Me too, Khell. Me too.
So it's just weird to see the rollover thing.
Gotcha. Oh, so
For
you
the record,
so you should just
For the
be
record, I got a DQ win against my only DQ win that I've ever gotten was against Sage because he forgot to do that, and this was before rollovers. And you
gotcha.
have
Yeah.
no idea how much I wanted to get my revenge against him. Love the
Yeah.
man,
So
but I
Yeah.
needed to even
so
things up.
for those of you that don't know how it works, or how it used to work rather, uh, before rollover existed, if you forgot to submit classes on Wednesday night or Thursday, if you were against a sub, it was a DQ.
Yeah, pretty much. It was not ideal, but I guess it was also the sort of thing where nobody thought, "Hey, why don't we just do rollover?" Because like it wasn't something that happened often. Like as you all have seen, our hat is very on top of like making sure people submit classes, which has led to one of my
Yeah.
favorite exchanges when between him and Donnie, the town drunk, where this was in the Facebook group. He was basically like, "Everybody submit their classes," and Donnie responds, "You don't tell me what to do," and our hat was like, "I'm accepting this as a read receipt,"
And there were
and
some
Donnie's just
people,
like, "Motherfucker."
there were some people that for some reason would wait until the very last second to submit too, because they felt like it gave them some type of advantage, which to me didn't really make sense.
doesn't.
But
Well, it's one of those things where like people kind of overestimate how much thought people will put into their classes if their person is playing in other series. You know,
Gotcha.
some people will be like, "Oh, like I'll submit my classes late so that they don't see like all of my so they don't have time to look at my classes from one series and consider that in what class they want to submit here." It's just it never ends up being relevant, and most people don't really think about it that hard. So, all right, moving on to the last match of week 8, we have ourselves Dirty Mike and the Boys versus Chaos Theory, which another big impactful match this week. Both of these teams are in the playoff race. A win for either of these teams would be pretty huge right now. We already see that Isocles played Tony Montana, and with a big sweep. Isocles is, really, he's not having the greatest of seasons, but he's definitely not having a bad one. And now he puts himself in an interesting position where if Risen doesn't beat Fuel, he's going to move back up to the 1. The PR between the 1 and the 3 is, they're all very close right now. This one is tough though because I think Risen is a strong player, but I mean this is Fuel. I gotta give it to Fuel in the 1. I'm gonna say Astropog takes it in the 3. I think Jester is going to take it in the 4. And then Silver T Fox Demon, I think, is going to get the slight upset against Lefty. I'd probably go for Lefty if he didn't bring Priest and Shaman. I'm so sorry, Lefty. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I didn't see the shaman.
But yes, 3-2 Chaos Theory.
Okay.
What about the rest of you?
So, I picked Fuel in the 1. I know that Risen's a really good player, and but he's been mostly in the 3 this season. So and moving very suddenly up all the way to the 1, against someone like Fuel who is a seasoned 1 seed. It might be a bit tough. I know Risen's obviously he's a good player. But I picked Fuel. I took Isocles. So I did all my predictions before I actually saw the Isocles result. So I picked Isocles ahead of time. I picked Astropog or Astrofrog. I took Jester in the 4 and Silver in the 5. I also picked a 3-2 Chaos Theory. Actually, I picked the same thing as JR.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. A lot of agreements today.
I think it's fine. I think this is still going to be pretty close,
I agree.
but the only match I feel really like, I also like the funny thing is, I feel like all these matches are very close because even though, like I say, Astrofrog is going to win, I think the PR difference you could argue is relevant. But I still feel pretty confident he's going to win because he's doing so well. Notorious GHP is really struggling right now, and I think even in the 3, Astrofrog is going to really see a lot of success.
Fuel is playing his match right now.
Oh, that's good. Against
He is
against
down. They're
legendary
on.
Risen.
They are on game 2. He is down 0-1.
Ooh.
On Risen.
I'm like waiting for an update from Plants, like, because I assume they're still playing right now, but I'm just like, I don't want to interrupt.
So before I run this one down real quick, obviously we are running a little over on time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if anybody in chat has questions for the end, toss them in there now.
Yeah. The questions are
Yeah.
wrap it on.
So I'm gonna give the one to Risen because I have inside info.
Ooh.
I'm going to give obviously Icicle's one, the two already. I'm gonna give the 3 to Astropog, the 4 to Surlos, and the 5 to Lefty. That gives it 3-2 Dirty Mike and the boys.
All right, and I do have the upset in the one with Risen being Fuel. I got to pick for my my Pro Series teammate there.
That's
so we got
fair.
Risen over Fuel. I got Astro
But
Frog
wait,
over.
Neji also fuck Aeon.
Yes.
No, I love Aeon.
Yeah. All right, and then we got Astral in the 3. I got Jester in the 4 and Lefty in the 5, which is 3-2 Chaos.
Yeah. But I will say quickly, like, do either of you are either of you familiar? Did like being on that team? Did they explain to you the fuck Aeon meme?
I've seen the meme. I don't know what it means, but I've seen it. There's a picture.
It's kind of complicated. There's a lot of stuff to it. It's
an old boy
only...
meme.
What?
It's an old boys meme. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even fully understand it because it was way before my time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was way before my time too. But yeah, it was like Aeon was like Aeon was still a team when I had started. So like I'd kind of heard of it, but like yeah, nowadays like we went so many seasons before Aeon showed up in any form, and then it suddenly became a team in pro.
Wasn't it something like they got a full team DQ or something at some point
See,
along the line?
I don't recall the exact details of it. I've heard things, but I've heard sort of differing stories. So I feel like at this point, it's just better for me to let somebody more qualified explain it.
Yeah,
I know if you ask either Markshire or R-Hat, they'll have a good answer for you. They'll have like a good detailed answer of that. So,
all right,
if you're curious, but it's all in good fun. That's really all you need to know more than anything else.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah.
I
So
assumed so.
yeah. So again, it was reiterated on Hearthstone last night, but all these inside jokes and stuff that seem harmful, like that, it seems to come out of a bad place. THL is just, it's for fun. It is a competitive environment. We want to win, but at the same time, we all, we're all pretty much friends, and it's just lighthearted fun.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't want any
In
of
the
this stuff to
past-
be taken in a very
In the past 2 seasons, the culture of THL has completely done a 180, and it is so awesome to be a part of the positive community now. So
it is.
So thank you to the board and to everybody involved with THL because
Yes, thanks.
everybody is
Yes.
awesome.
Including the new board members that were recently announced. I don't
Based.
recall if this was
Oh, I don't
announced prior,
No,
but like
I believe there's only one new board member, but there were new mods.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right. The newest board member being Based. Congrats to her. But we also have new mods in the form of Ron Mexico, Mad at Arms, and not Brushy Tuna, Big Ted.
Wait,
It says not Tuna's friend, so I always get that. I get thrown off for a second.
Yeah, Ted.
So very happy for all of them. Very happy for Based. I really am very happy with the shape THL's taken, but we are unfortunately also taking away from our lovely Canadian guest over here. So we are going to move on to the Q&A portion of this segment, and hopefully we can knock things out within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So,
Yeah, I can do that.
NejiBoston,
All right.
how are you, first of all?
I'm doing great. It was.
Have you been enjoying yourself tonight?
Yes, for sure. It's been awesome.
All right. We
Yeah.
got a bunch of questions for you that we want to ask. And I figure what better person to ask than your teammate, Mr. Feesh.
Yeah.
I'm not calling him Doctorfeesh because he's not a doctor right now.
No,
Sorry,
I
Feesh.
can appreciate that. Yeah, figure favorite deck in class ever, deck ever.
All right. My favorite class ever is Mage. It's my class with the most wins. And my favorite deck ever is Luna's Pocket Galaxy Highlander Mage, which is the deck I play in Wild with Frostless Jaina and all that fun stuff with Infinite.
Love Jaina.
See, I'm kind of glad I didn't play Highlander Mage when that was like the version of it,
Someone needs to call the police.
Yeah.
This man's a
Greedy.
degenerate.
Oh man.
I think I have like 2,000 games on the deck, so yeah, there's quite a few.
I mean, then again, my favorite deck was always Freeze Mage, and everybody says that deck is solitaire. but-
Oh, I love those.
I
I
love
mean,
that
it
deck too,
kind
yeah.
of is. I would argue that it's kind of solitaire just for the fact that like there was never a whole lot you could actually do about it, you know?
It's
no, because Ice
not
Block
Turtle
existed.
Mage. It's not
Right.
Turtle
Well,
Mage.
that's the thing. You couldn't really do much about the freeze, and you couldn't
Yeah.
really do much about the ice block. That's kind of why I'm glad that ice block ended up rotating.
I agree.
I just want to point out that Keys on Mystic is a card that existed.
Zon Mystic.
Yes, because you were going to main deck that for one deck.
Yeah.
And you did. It was not even. Well, that's not true because you could
Hunter
play
too.
Hunter too.
Yeah, Hunter used to.
Yes, but the problem is it's about card design at that point. Ice block was a problematic card simply for the fact that it had no like definitive counter. And I'm not saying like it needs to be easy to counter, but the problem is, you know, you're basically relying on bring your opponent down low enough, and after ice block happens, they don't have an answer.
Okay, I'm gonna make one more joke about this before we move on.
Oh dear God.
Bro, do you even play Flare?
Those were good times, I won't lie.
2 mana and you draw a card.
Oh,
and you
there
kill
apparently
it.
was also a time where
days.
counterspell did not stop flare.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand at all.
Because Flare would go on the stack first.
Yeah, Flare interacted
Yes, but that
first.
still makes no sense to me.
I don't know.
I'm glad that's
but
not
anyways,
a thing anymore, but yeah.
But anyways, all right, we'll move on.
Anyway, Neji. Well, I want to ask this one because I genuinely had planned to write this down, and I didn't do it because Pasca beat me to it.
Pasca asked it in the.
What is your secret to like being so successful at this game? Because like you came on, you came into THL and immediately made such an impact, like more so than what we see from general rookies, you know? Like even though your team struggled last season, you really were a standout player, especially being in the 1, which is the hardest seed to play in. And then somehow after that really strong season, you top yourself the following season. I'm really trying to understand the secret to that because that's really incredible to watch.
Oh shit, Astropog is playing right now too.
Ooh.
Honestly, just a lot of practice. I'd never done any type of competitive play in Hearthstone. I usually just played for fun, but it came a point where I would watch a lot of streams and I wanted to be like these players who were high legend and doing tournaments and stuff. I thought it'd be fun. So I decided to take it a bit more seriously and practice a lot more and watch a lot of streams and really focus on small key decisions in games. And well, it turned out all right. Luckily, when I heard about THL, I hopped on. We joined with AFG, and I also did the Wild series, and both went well. I don't really have a secret, honestly. I practice as much as I can in all my free time. I would play Hearthstone. I didn't really do any other games or watch TV or go out and do other things. Honestly, it was just Hearthstone. Practice, practice, practice.
It's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no.
I mean, it's and just to be clear, you play just in Legacy and Pro right now.
I'm
in the Wild as well, and
we're in Wild as well.
Yeah, we're the #1 team right now.
Oh, right. Which team is that again?
F2L Viridian.
F2L Viridian. Yeah.
Right, you're on there with Marty, Itachi.
Yeah, you guys are rotted zombie.
Rotted zombie, and who's the 5th guy? I keep forgetting.
Ultimate.
There we go. Who, strangely enough, shares the same name as a player who used to play in THL named Ultimate, but is not the same person.
Can't wait for next Wild season when Corbett builds a team. Ooh, boy.
Have fun.
I will look forward to just continuing to be a spectator of Wild and nothing.
All right.
I mean, it's fun to cast, I won't lie.
Oh yeah, Wild's great.
Wild is fun.
It's fun.
I don't play any Wild in my free time at all. I just play the decks that I've played in the past, and I've played them so much that I know how to play them. I don't play new things that have come up in Wild. I just play decks that I've played before, and that's.
So, what's your record right now?
I'm
5-1.
If I understand the Wild meta correctly, the only deck you need to know how to play is Rasa Priest.
Yeah, and I've played tons of that before. So yeah.
Reno Priest, some combo decks. Agras. But all right, so moving on. Next question. Diamond has 3 questions. I'll just pick one for time's sake. What is your name? Where is your name?
All right, so I made this name I think like 8 years ago. I think I was in like 8th grade or 7th grade or something like that. And I would watch. My favorite show was Naruto, so I would watch it all the time. And my favorite character in that show, his name was Neji, so I decided to use that as part of my username. And then the second half of my name, well, I was born in Boston, and I'm also a massive Boston Bruins fan. I religiously watch all their games, and yeah, so that was why I used Boston as the second half, and I've just kind of kept the same username for the past 8 years.
Awesome.
It's pretty good. It's funny though, because it's just like with a name like NejiBoston, you almost thought you're from Boston,
Yeah,
and you're
no,
not even from the states.
no, I was born there, but I moved to Canada when I was like 2. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. And we have one last question from uh my teammate and Neji's teammate from Dragon Rider.
AKA one of the owners of uh, AFG, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she's the owner of organization.
She's the sole owner, or is it also Ferris Biscuit is
Nah,
part of that?
it's just her.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Biscuit's just our team captain. I mean, he has some work, but
Right. I was gonna say I know he's part of the team. So
so how do you balance playing so many matches each week, which is not only THL, you also play a Virant,
hmm
yeah,
and
Aspen series, right?
as well as streaming 4 days a week, being in college and time with family. How, like, how do you balance doing that? What advice would you give in a similar?
Uh, well, I think it's really important to make a schedule. I have my calendar right beside me here, and every single box is pretty much filled in with which days I need to do what assignments or what matches I have, and just keep pretty organized. Also, not gonna lie, I have a pretty bad sleep schedule, and usually a lot of my Hearthstone practice comes late at night at like 2 or 3 in the morning, so
Oh boy.
that helps as well. But yeah, I would say just really try and keep to a tight schedule and try and schedule time for yourself as well, obviously, as working or practicing or spending time with family.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's the questions we've got. Um,
Yeah.
so thank you so much for obviously for. Oh,
Yeah,
We're
thank
very
you.
happy we got you aboard.
yeah, very happy we got
now,
you.
now that there is one last quick question we want to ask.
Sure.
Do you think you're gonna pull off that 8-0 run?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I believe.
Gotta be confident. We're going for it. I'll be
I was gonna say
practicing.
like
And
because you're right now the only person guaranteed to be going for that perfect run. We're gonna have to see if myself, Based, or Dewin can match that 7-0.
yeah,
Hmm.
I'm sure.
It's
You
gonna be
guys can,
interesting.
I believe.
Maybe I'm jinxing myself saying that. Who knows? I hope
Yeah.
not.
So thank you everybody for watching the show. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching the show. We will have matches this weekend, starting with Friday night fights tomorrow night. Casting will be Corridon and Memnarch from Wild and Out. We're gonna have 2 wild matches going on. 8 p.m. Eastern, we have Marty B from F12 Iridian taking on Brian O'Brien of Wild THL Fanatics. It is a green conference match. We have 9 p.m. a brown conference match in Wild. Snake Fods of Straight Impin Metamorphosis Pimpin versus Duin on Anoyo team. That is obviously the wild version of Anoyo team. We have 10 p.m. pro match. Wengor versus Brushy Tuna. Wengor from Canadian Clown Fiesta versus Brushy Tuna of the Unknown. We
Should be fun.
Yeah, I'm not. We will have there. We might have stuff on Saturday for Salty Saturday.
We're still looking for spots. If
Yeah.
anybody wants to play their match, reach out to Donde.
Udonde or Brushy.
They're hoping to cast the match a Saturday night.
Yeah.
But then we've got Schoolstone, my territory. 1 p.m. we've got Wild Green Hockey Boys from Board Space Invaders versus Toos of the Caverns Below, and then at 2
Wait
p.m.
a
we're gonna have a hero quarterfinals match. Disco from No Pros Here versus Chewbacca of Ask HS. Hey, Kel, have you heard of that team by chance?
I have, but wait a minute. How is Hockey Boys on a team called Board Space Invaders when he's not a board member? Blasphemy.
I'm not sure if. Well, who else is on the team?
I
Because then
don't.
that'll
I don't
tell you
think.
if it's actually made up of board
I don't.
members.
I don't think there's. Not sure though.
I don't think it is. I think it's more.
I
'cause
like it.
You got to also consider Hat's not on that team, and I
Yeah,
don't think,
Hat
like,
has his own team.
Hat's on Hattleship.
Battleship.
Ooh, I like it.
But yeah, now the only thing with the Schoolstone matches that needs to be noted is we have the matches figured out as far as time. We're just still figuring out who is going to be OPing these because unfortunately Lotus Knight is not going to be available. So we're still working that out. If there's anybody who wants to volunteer and is going to be available during this time, we might be up for it. But for now, we're just going to keep this as a tentative match schedule.
Yeah, tentative schedule.
And then Feesh, what do we have for Sunday Showdown this Sunday evening?
All right, Sunday night we're gonna have myself casting and very likely somebody else. Might just be Saku. Might be joined by another caster. We have 2 matches going on. We have 8 p.m. Hero Series 8 p.m. Pro Series match. We have Glee from F2L versus Agent PWE of the Winters, and then 9 p.m. Eastern Euro quarterfinals match. We have our co-host Khell from Ask HS taking on Shunsway of No Pro.
By the way, that will be the final match of the week, since
Yeah.
all the other matches are scheduled before that. So if the match has already been decided by that point, then boy, you better tune in because there's gonna be some spicy memes. I'm gonna be slamming golden millhouses and everything.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
Khell, come on.
Nah,
don't get me wrong,
bring out the
memes are enticing,
memes.
but I want to see you win this one and have it matter.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm saying
I'm
if the match is
hope-
already decided, then
Yeah. Of course.
I know, but still, it's like, that's a big assumption right there, you know?
listen,
Yeah.
I am really hoping that this match does not come down to me. I can't handle that kind of pressure.
Oh, please.
Gotcha.
You don't give yourself enough credit. That's your problem right there.
Look at my record; it speaks for itself.
I'm ignoring your record for that reason.
Alright.
No, I'm
Plus,
looking
I
forward
mean,
to it.
come on.
Pretty good match.
Yeah. All right. So, any last stuff
I mean,
before
also, look, Shunsway's a good player, but I know that, I know you can do this, man.
Yeah, my grandfather's deck has no pathetic cards.
like it?
This man gets it.
Gets
Also,
it.
worst case scenario, you pet your cat for good luck.
Absolutely. I have one quick question for everybody
No.
before we get out of here.
Sure.
What's that?
So, have you all watched the teaser trailer that was dropped today?
We have, yes.
Okay. Do you think that Dark Moon Fair is expansion related, or do you think it is new game mode related?
Game mode.
Game mode. I hope it's game mode. I wouldn't be surprised if they're long.
We know there's a new game mode coming. We know that much.
Yeah.
We just don't know what else is
It'll
involved.
be
you know?
announced on it'll be announced on Thursday. But where they teased the Dark Moon Fair, and people have been talking about a Dark Moon Fair expansion for years, and we've never gotten one. So it very well could be the expansion.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that that was the teaser because the big thing everybody cares about right now is the new game mode. So I think it is related to the new game mode.
Yeah.
It did say several
I mean, it's
major
possible.
announcements.
Yeah, so
There's a lot of speculation.
They could also be really teasing. They could be teasing out the next expansion with Dark Moon Fair, but then also having other stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, no. There's going to be multiple announcements.
agree.
They're announcing the next expansion 100%, and they're announcing the game mode 100%. So it's those two announcements.
Have they? Do they usually? I don't remember them announcing new expansions this 2 months out. Usually, I thought it's usually.
Well, it's not 2 months. It's closer to like a month and a half.
Oh, a
but
month
I
and a
see your
half.
point.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
is month and a half is about right.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's a little early. If I recall,
But-
they usually start the announcement
it'll be
the
next-
month before.
But it's next week. Oh, yeah. Who knows?
Right, so it is a little early, admittedly.
Sure.
But I think that has more to do with the game, most likely.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So
think that's a good spot to wrap up the episode. Thank you,
I would say
everybody.
so.
Thank you, everybody, for watching a longer episode of Tavern Talk. But I mean, there's so much to go into as we're approaching playoffs. Thank you to Neji for coming on and our guests. Thank you, JR and Khell, for coming along with me for this ride. And we will see you all next week. Isocles, I believe, here instead of Khell.
Isocles will be back, and our teams will be facing next week. So there's definitely going to be some banter with
That's
that.
going to be fun.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody have a wonderful weekend and take care.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Take care.